Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Got a good vlog for you this morning or this afternoon. I always think it's morning. I don't know what's wrong with me. Went out turkey hunting this morning and heard lots of sounds, and there's just a lot going on out there in those woods. A lot more than most people would think, I have a feeling. I've got a little short video here. I don't know, it's roughly a minute or so, and it starts off, it's going to be kind of black because it was still real dark, but you can hear the whippoorwills, and then after the daylight showed up a little bit, or it's almost daylight, I guess, then you can hear all the other birds, and there's just tons of birds if you listen close. I tried to turn the volume up in the video, but you may have to turn your volume up a little bit. But anyway, here's sounds, I guess, plus a little gobble sound in there too, if you listen close. Well, my friends, I can hear 2 or 3, maybe even 4 gobblers off this direction. The sad thing is, I think I also hear somebody else calling over there. Yeah, they were talking. You could get them to talk. In fact, they were really far away when I first started calling. I would say 400 or 500 yards away. And I could hear at least 2 gobblers for sure. I think there could have been as many as 4. And so then after calling for about a half an hour or so, and they didn't seem like they were getting any closer, well, then I walked to the right in that video, I guess, and then it drops off down a pretty steep hill. So I went about halfway down that hill toward their direction, and it was kind of silent for a while. I didn't really hear them answer, and then all of a sudden I hear them answer, and now they're above me back to the left. So had I stayed where I was, they might have came on to me that way. Well, then I made my way back up there to where I was, got back up in that tree stand, and called again, and they were answering me, but they were above me then, up high on the hill, and there was at least 2 or 3 still I could hear, and but they never did come close. Like I said, turkeys make you look like a real genius and just like a super hunter if they are in the mood to come to you. But when they're not, I mean, like, if they've got it in their mind, or if they're coming your direction, you can call them right in. Boy, I mean, there's no problem. But if they've got in their mind to go to a different direction, or for whatever reason they're going parallel to you instead of coming toward you, well, they'll answer, but they won't come. It's pretty funny. But sometimes, I don't know, it just depends on the day. Sometimes you can call them, and the instant you hit the first call, man, they come running. I mean, they just flat come running. It's just crazy. One one morning back a long time ago when JR was little, I took him out. He was pretty small. I'm not even sure he was big enough to carry the gun, but I guess he was. I don't know. Anyway, we heard nothing that morning, like not one single gobble anywhere. And so the next morning then, and that was maybe his first time out. Well, the next morning he wouldn't get up to go. I don't want to go, that type of thing. So I went out there, and the next morning, and I'm not making this up, I heard 96 gobbles. I counted them. It was unbelievable. That was the most I ever heard on a morning. But that's just how it changes from one day to the next. You have no idea how it's going to be when you get out there. And then, like I said, the one morning, 0. The next morning, 96 gobbles. Crazy. So, I don't know. It's just like that. That's the way turkey hunting goes. It's kind of like deer hunting. It's kind of the same way. It's either hot or cold. So I only stayed out there till about 7:30 this morning, and then I headed back to do this. After lots of prying, crawling back under there, freeing up the other end a couple of times, and prying this pipe, there's a rubber hose, prying that over. I'm able to get it this far, so far. I think it's coming now, but getting the other end out is going to be just about as hard. Yeah. There we go. Look at that. Oh, look at that. You can't even believe it. I can't even believe it came out. All right. Well, we got her out. I mean, it wasn't the worst job I ever did, but it wasn't easy. Yeah, I got underneath there and started looking at how am I going to get that drive shaft out. And the cross member thing, that wouldn't have worked. I guess if you cut enough of them out, you could maybe make it work, but it wouldn't have been easy. I guarantee it would not have been easy. So I decided against the cross member idea. I was still holding in the back of my mind that I would cut the shaft off itself. Then it was a piece of cake. You can get it out, no problem. But I didn't want to cut the shaft off unless I had to. So I decided to do it more the recommended way, which was take the front bumper off. After I thought about it, there's not that many bolts. I think there's a total of 7 bolts that you have to take out to get 5 of them are bolts and 2 of them are screws. Anyway, you get those out, and then the bumper comes off. Well, then you just have 4 more bolts to lift up that front transmission or that front differential is really more what it is. But it's the front 4-wheel drive mechanism. And so I lift that up. Well, guess what? It still won't really let you get it out of there. I mean, it still was way too tight to get it out of there. But I pried, and I put board up in there and set it up high and crawled back underneath the thing 4 or 5 times and spun the shaft 4 or 5 times. It was not easy at all. It was in and out. If I'd have had a second person, it would have been fairly easy, I think, because the problem was I'd be pulling on one end, the other end would get hung up, or whatever. But anyway, I finally got out there, as you saw, and like I said, it wasn't the hardest thing I ever did, but it was not easy at all. Well, y'all had asked for how Sue makes mushrooms. Well, I think this is probably a better video than anything I've put out so far. So here it is. It's about, 6 or 7 minutes long, but it'll show you all the steps and procedures. We're going to prepare these mushrooms for dinner, and these are the ones I found this morning. They've been soaking in salt water to make sure there's no bugs or anything, and then they've been rinsed off. We put them on a paper towel to have them dry off a little bit more.
breadcrumbs.
Butter in the pan.
Not very high heat. I don't need that.
Low heat.
Come on.
Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum. I have been on a very strict diet, as you know, and I really haven't. I mean, I've had a digression or two, but very minimal. Like I've eaten a cookie or something, but just like one cookie, and I haven't been eating supper. Well, my only exception to that is when I find mushrooms, I'll eat supper. But I'm just eating them with scrambled eggs, so it's not super fattening. It's heart healthy. What was it? Ron was telling me how his wife, she's on a real health food kick, and she thinks like McDonald's is like evil, and just like anything like that is just terrible. Yet she's not as healthy as Ron is. I mean, Ron's in better shape, and Ron eats at McDonald's. He's like me. He kind of eats a little more like I do, which is basically sugar, salt, and preservatives. That's pretty much all I eat. I learned this song literally 15 minutes ago. I don't even know that I've learned it. I'm just going to do a little bit of it. It's just a cool song. I tell you what, I don't normally do songs that are about drinking. I really don't. I just don't do them. Like, for instance, even that instrumental, just because it's got the title, Whiskey Before Breakfast, I just don't play it. I don't know. It's just, I don't call it being a prude or being ignorant. I don't know. Just whatever you want to call it. I just typically don't do those things. But this song by Alison Krauss and Brad Paisley, Whiskey Lullaby, I don't know. I think of it like somewhat different. I don't know why I think of it different, but I've never seen, this is just me, and you can totally feel different about it, and I won't hate you for it. If you feel completely different about it, that's perfectly fine with me. But me personally, I've never seen one single good thing come from alcohol. In my opinion, it's the worst drug on the planet. It beats all the other drugs combined, in my opinion. It's caused more divorce, more lost work, more people on poverty, and children and women being abused, and you name it, drunk drivers killing people, you name it, it's done it. So I have nothing good to say about drinking, but I think this song kind of sums it up in a way if you read between the lines. I'm going to give it a try. Doubt I can do it. She put him out like the burning end of a midnight cigarette. She broke his heart. He spent his whole life trying to forget. We watched him drink his pain away, a little at a time. But he never could get drunk enough to get her off his mind until the night he put that bottle to his head and pulled the trigger, and finally drank away her memory. Life is short, but this time it was bigger than the strength he had to get up off his knees. We found him face down in the pillow with a note that said, I'll love her till I die. And when we buried him beneath the willow, the angels sang a whiskey lullaby. La 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 la. La 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 la. The rumors flew, but nobody knew how much she blamed herself. For years and years she tried to hide the whiskey on her breath. She finally drank her pain away, a little at a time. But she never could get drunk enough to get her off her mind until the night she put that bottle to her head and pulled the trigger and finally drank away his memory. Life is short, but this time it was bigger than the strength she had to get up off her knees. We found her with her face down in the pillow, clinging to his picture for dear life. We laid her next to him beneath the willow, while the angels sang a whiskey lullaby. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Whiskey Lullaby. I didn't know that was written by Bill Anderson and somebody else. It was I think Bill Anderson holds some sort of record, Guinness Book of World Records or something, for the most country hits or something like that. I don't remember what the record was now, but he's quite a songwriter, really quite a songwriter, and he's written lots of hit songs for lots of people. Anyway, let's go through the comments and see what we got going on here. David Tharp, howdy y'all. David Tharp says, I crossed 3 things off my to-do list today. I didn't do them. I just got tired of them being on my list. That's kind of like my to-do list. I cross some things off sometimes whether I do them or not. Ronald Todd, good afternoon, everyone, from the West Bank of New Jersey. Bill Webb, good afternoon, and I know he's in Commerce, Texas. And then David Tharp says, there's just not enough hours in a day for all the things I'm not going to do. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a blessed day. Me too. Gino Hitch, hi, Jerry and friends. Beautiful day here in Monroe, Ohio. Did you get or make any more shingles? For some reason, my phone wouldn't let me connect to you guys yesterday. Well, I did make, just that pile of shingles I showed in the video a few days ago. I haven't made any more, but I'm going to try to get back on that too. But there's just things that pop up, like this drive shaft in this Ranger. And that Ranger, I have to keep it going because there's no way I can get around on this farm without it. I do so many things that it just takes priority. So I'm stopping to fix that right now. And I should hopefully have that fixed by this afternoon. I've got one end of the drive shaft completely repaired already. So I have to repair the other end of the drive shaft. I'm putting new yokes on, the new ends on. And anyway, but it's going fairly well. It's not simple, though. After we went live, Bill Mumble was the first one in there, it looks like. And he says, David Tharp says, I went to a family reunion, but I didn't talk to a single person there. I have no idea whose family it was, but the potato salad made it totally worth it. That's pretty funny. Let's see. David, you are messed up. That's all I got to say about that. Bill Mumbo, what a glorious, beautiful racket, Jerry. Reminds me of night fishing. Okay. the sounds in that video. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I have to always think. Takes me a while. Bill Rhodes, why isn't Jerry that I get notifications 4 minutes after you already started? Well, I would say that's between you, your device you're using, the internet provider you have, and YouTube. I can't help it one way or the other, but I don't know, honestly. It's one of those 4 things, or 3 things, actually. Ronald Todd, so glad you didn't cut the shaft. Well, yeah, I am too. I mean, I didn't want to cut it, but I didn't know any other way to do it, and I don't think it would have been a big deal one way or the other. I think I could have repaired it just fine. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, I had turkey over the weekend. It was difficult, but I tracked and hunted it down at the local supermarket. Well, might have to go to that extreme. David Thorpe, the doctor said I had to amputate your toe, but I replaced it with a prosthetic I made out of breath mint. You now have a tic-tac-toe. You're stretching, David. You're really stretching on that one. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, have you ever wanted to clone yourself? I wish I had a full-time helper, that's for sure. It would be nice. Lucy Wright, wow, Morels are so expensive to buy here. Looks delicious. I didn't even know you could buy them anywhere. I've never heard of buying Morels. Let's see. Well, it scrolled on me pretty good here. Let me find it. Yeah, they are, by the way, they are delicious. They really are very good. But the way she cooks them, I think, is 3/4 of it. I mean, dips them in egg and then the breadcrumbs and all that, and then fries them in butter. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? They're really good. Bill Webb, I think we have too many wild pigs around here to find mushrooms. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that in the woods, but then again, I wasn't looking either. Well, you got to look around elm trees for the most part. I don't know if you'll find them in Texas or not. Honestly, that's a fairly dry area. There's probably places in Texas you'd probably find them, I would think. But I doubt they're everywhere. Let's see. And then Bill Mumbo's got some question marks. Says, a favorite drinking song of mine is What Made Milwaukee Famous. Garland Edmondson, remember Paula Dean and her butter episode might change your diet. Ha, ha, ha. I don't remember it because I don't watch cooking shows, that's for sure. You know, it's kind of funny and ironic, or whatever you want to call it, the fact that I'm showing that mushroom thing. That was only by request that I showed that. But like if I'm watching like a channel that I really like to watch, as an example, I like to watch Diesel Creek. He works on big equipment and stuff. But if he were, I'm just making this up because I don't remember him doing this, but a lot of the channels do. But if he were to go in the kitchen and show how he makes such and so, or what he's eating for lunch, I always either fast forward through that or turn it off if I can't fast forward through it for whatever. I just don't watch food stuff. It doesn't do it for me. I'm just not a food person. I don't know how, with the taste buds I have, you probably could understand why, but I literally don't care about food at all for the most part. I do like those mushrooms though. Wade Hampton, Jerry, I am a 30-year recovered alcoholic. 100% agree with you about alcohol. It has destroyed countless homes and lives. Well, Wade, I'm glad you're 100% free. That you're a former alcoholic. I'm really proud that you've been able to beat it, because it's horrible. It's absolutely, in my opinion, the worst drug. There's nothing worse. I truly believe that. I mean, other drugs might be more devastating in one dose, but in terms of the overall effect, I don't think anything beats alcohol. Down Hillebrand, beautiful song. Well done, Jerry. Well, thank you. Ben Boyd, I don't know, Jerry. A single cold beer after weed eating the yard in mid-August is pretty good. Well, I can't say it is or it isn't because I've never had one. I've never, ever tasted a beer, ever. Zappa 1, alcohol consumption. I don't want to sound like a goody two-shoes. I have had a drink or two in my life. One, the first time was when I was a teenager and all the boys were making fun of me because I wouldn't drink. And I didn't drink as a teenager when all my friends did, And so one time I said, look, if I take this, it was one of those Steak and Shake glasses, the tall, you've seen those probably if you know about Steak and Shake, the tall glass, they're big. I said, if I drink that full of the hardest stuff you got, and if it doesn't affect me, will you just lay off forever? And they said, yep. They poured it full of vodka. I drank the whole thing down, almost chugged it. Never affected me one little tiny bit. And you can believe what you want, but it didn't. It didn't make me tipsy, didn't make me sick, didn't do nothing to me. And they were all laughing, thinking I was going to die or something. It didn't bother me even in the least. So then they kept their promise. They didn't give me no more crap about it. Let's see. Zappa, alcohol. Oh, well, there's no question marks there. I'm going to move on down. Let's see. Garland Edmondson, listen to David Frizzell singing, I'm going to hire a wino to decorate. I've heard that one too. Let's see. It scrolled on me. Doggone it. Let's see. Simon Jardine, watched my brother drink himself to death because he didn't care. There's a place and time for drink. For me, it's after my day's work. Put Jerry on my screen. I have a beer when earphones and music. Bill Webb, my daddy's other family played Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox. I've heard that one too. At the graveside service, kind of embarrassing. Yeah, kind of. Let's see. I can get by just fine without alcohol or drugs. I have enough problems going through life sober. Can't imagine trying to do it as a drunk. Yeah, well, you guys, like I said, it's just like the political views. You can have a totally different political view, and I can still be your friend. It doesn't make me hate you. I mean, like I know some people do. I mean, like literally, if you like such and so, then they literally hate you. Well, I don't feel that way. I figure you can feel and do as you wish, and I'll feel and do as I wish. And we can still be friends. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, I just don't drink at all. I just never have and never did want to. Ben Boyd, I watched one of your old repair videos last night where you used a wedge under the fretboard instead of resetting the neck. Brilliant. Save the customer money, time, fix the problem. Good. Sometimes it calls for a different tactic. A lot of times on repairs, I always tried to consider, where it was coming from, and maybe I shouldn't prejudge like that, but, sometimes I already knew that this person just doesn't have any money, and we need to do it as quick and easy and cheap as we can, and still get the job done. I can't compromise on getting the job done and getting it done well, but on the other hand, trying to find the least expensive way to do it, Let's see. Scott Roberts. So David Tharp, did you have to call a tow truck? Okay, I missed that one, I think. Let's see. Ronald Higa? Hi, Jerry. Ron Higa. Higa. How it's from Hawaii. Which is the best welder brand, in your opinion, that you have? Well, They've all got their good points. I think if you're on a budget and you just want to get started in welding, man, it's hard to beat that dang Arc Captain. That thing's good for as little as it is, and it's hard to beat. So I'd have to go with the Arc Captain. It's on my products I use page. The newer one I just got, it's good, but I like the Arc Captain. I mean, I really like the Arc Captain. It's a good one. Lucy Wright, Morels are a delicacy in France. I think they're the second most expensive mushroom after truffles. Oh, I'll be darned. I didn't even know you could ever buy those things anywhere. That's bizarre. Because here, at least in this area, at least in Missouri, there's no buying them anywhere. First of all, you're going to use a club to keep other people away from them if you've got some. You know what I mean? Let's see, David Tharp, the pessimist sees a dark tunnel. The optimist sees a light at the end. The realist sees the approaching freight train. The engineer sees three idiots standing on the tracks. There you go. Yep. Zappa, if I were to clone myself, it would end in a murder-suicide. Bill Rhodes says, yeah, I think it might be my phone. Well, it's got to be one of those things because it has to be. Sidecar Bob, we've been going to the supermarket, liquor store, and Tim Hortons every couple of days for empty cartons. At least we don't have to pay for those. Okay. Ronald Todd, so glad you're wearing that shirt today. We all know how you love lettuce. Yeah, my daughter bought this for me, knowing that I hate lettuce, and really lettuce is one of the worst. I know most people, because you don't have the taste buds I have, most people say lettuce doesn't have that much taste. You know, it's not that big a deal. You just don't taste the stuff that I taste in the lettuce, that chlorophyll. It is one of the strongest tastes. Lettuce is horrible. It's just literally horrible. Now, onions are even worse, but for me, but lettuce is really bad. It's so hard to get. I tried to man up one time when Sue and I were dating, and I said, I'm going to eat it. I don't care what. I'm going to eat it. I got it in my mouth and started chewing it. I had to go to the bathroom. I could not get it to go down. It was so bad. It was horrible. Can't do it. But if I had written this shirt, I would have said, lettuce, the taste of compost, because that's all I would ever use it for. Let's see here. Moving on down. Let's see. Zacharak 55 indicates deep pain. Remember compassion, people. Yep. David Sutter, 100% right on all counts, Jerry. You nailed it. Alcohol is the worst killer. Well, I think so. I really do. I had a friend, you've heard me mention him before. His name was Gary Bickmeyer. He's Sue's cousin. He was my best friend growing up. We hunted together every weekend. But one weekend he got drunk, hit me over the head with a vacuum cleaner at this party we were at. I mean, he was just being silly. It wasn't doing it like to be mean, but he just out of his mind, drunk. And I stole his keys when he wasn't looking and got in his car and went home and left him there. I didn't care how he got home. Anyway, let's see. Joe, yes is a killer. My ex had cases of wine in the garage. Ugh. Yeah. Ranger Rog says, at one time you indicated you would consider watching over someone's shoulder while they did a set on your on their guitar if they were staying at your rental. Is that still a possibility? Well, I'm really just not working on instruments at this point, except for, close friends, relatives, that kind of thing. If it was a minor thing and you stayed at my rental retreat, I'd probably do it, but, I don't want to get that started. I really don't, because I'm not kidding you when I tell you about it's the stress in the hands. It hurts, man. I'm not kidding you. Well, I mean, a lot of this other mechanical stuff I do hurts too, but it doesn't hurt quite the same way. Sometimes it hurts even worse, I'll admit, but for the most part, the difference is that it's a constant strain when I'm doing the instruments. It just hurts. Bill Mumbo, I'm not teetotal, Jerry, but I rarely drink. I've lost several cousins to alcohol, made me careful. I am now diabetic, so it doesn't really seem wise. Yeah, well, I don't know. My grandfather, Arnold Sconce, the one that gave me the fiddle and the one I wrote the song about, he was an alcoholic. He sat in a chair, basically, at least in his later life. He was very kind and very generous and very nice, but basically he didn't do anything except sit there and drink. It's just, yeah, I just can't see wasting a life that way. It just doesn't make sense. My other grandfather had owned a tavern. My dad's dad apparently had owned it. I don't remember it really. I mean, actually, I kind of vaguely have a memory of being there one time when I was real little. But I don't know that he was an alcoholic or anything, but he had owned a tavern at one time. My dad didn't drink. I don't know exactly why his reasons were, but I don't know. It's just something I just made my own mind up on it. It wasn't a religious thing. It was probably something to do with my dad, but overall, I just decided it wasn't for me. Scott Roberts, I wanted to start a new diet, but I decided to wait. I have too much on my plate right now. That one sounds like a I can't think of names. You know me. That sounds like a David Tharp. Sorry, I just can't think of names. It just doesn't work for me. Let's see. I lost my place. I was rolling up and down there. I think I must have skipped one. Scott Roberts says, I didn't think I was fat till the woman in McDonald's said, sorry about your weight. Let's see. Then Sidecar Bob says, you missed where I said we're making progress emptying the basement. The dumpster is nearly full and the container is getting there. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. Yeah, I don't know. Scott Roberts, my wife said she'd leave me if I carried on singing I'm a Believer. I didn't believe her, but I saw her face. David Tharp, too, can play this game. Keep it up. Ben Boyd, on the last cruise I was on, they offered Morels as an option at a steakhouse for a significant upcharge. Well, I'll be darned. I learn something new every day. I never, ever dreamed you could buy them anywhere because you can't grow them commercially, so I don't know how they would sell them. Scott Roberts was driving with my dad the other day, and he told me to get the map out of the glove box. Easy there, Indiana Jones. I will just Google it. Yeah, there's Googling everything. Scott Roberts says, get the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it if you would do that. Bruce Moore says, thanks for sharing the mushroom video. You're welcome. Garland Evanson is chlorophyll related to chloroform? Ha ha ha. Well, I don't know, but I it's I've said this before, so I know some of you have heard this countless times, but it's something. It's literally, it's definitely not in your mind. It's definitely a taste, and it started with me when I was an absolute infant. Like my mom would tell me she would set up crying all night long and took me to the doctor and everything because I wouldn't eat anything. Everything they would put in my mouth, I would spit it out, except mashed potatoes and milk. When I was, before I had teeth, and she just cried and cried. She just thought I was going to die. That's all I would eat was mashed potatoes and milk. Guess what? My grandson Trinian, guess what he would eat when he was a baby? Mashed potatoes and milk, and that's it. That's the only grandkid we've had like that, and that's the only, none of my kids had this. But if you've got it, you got it. There's not much you can do about it. It's super sensitive taste. And most people think that everybody tastes everything the same way. Well, I can tell you for sure we don't. It's kind of like the color blindness too, It's I don't think, even like all people that can see colors, I don't think everybody sees them the same, number one. And number two, the people that are colorblind, I know they don't see things the same like, in other words, one colorblind person sees stuff different than the next colorblind person, is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of differences out there on most of these senses type things. Scott Ryder says, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. Yeah, I'd probably rather have that myself. Let's see. Sidecar Bob, dealing with the flood is most of what I'm doing these days, so it's most of what I talk about. By the way, I usually have one drink per day just before bed when I won't do me any harm. Bill Mumbo, Scott Roberts, probably the same outcome. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, I wish so much that I had a dad like yours. Yeah, well, he was a tough guy. I got to tell you that. He was, he was on his own from the time he was 12, I think. And he started making his own way and his own living. And he was super, super, super strict with me. I mean, like, incredibly strict. Like, it'd be hard to explain. And I got plenty of beatings, and mostly over horses, dogs, animals, things like that, which is why I have really no use for horses, dogs, and things like that. I just don't care about them. I at a young age, I learned to I didn't hate them exactly. I just learned that they just weren't my friend. It's just take it again for what it's worth. It's just when you grow up a certain way, you just learn to be a certain way, I'm not going to apologize for it either. It's just the way it is. But y'all have a great day. I appreciate y'all being here. If you would give the video a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that. We will see you tomorrow with something else.